Let's say you're not in a bad place right now. Things are actually okay. Maybe you're on vacation, or you've just closed out a good week at work, or the pressure that's been sitting on your chest for months has somehow finally lifted a little. And you're relaxed, maybe even enjoying yourself, and that's exactly when the voice shows up. It's not always when you're desperate. It's that little question that almost sounds like a reasonable suggestion. Why not? After all, you've been good, careful even. You've earned a bit of breathing room, so what's one bet gonna hurt? Hell, you're on vacation, this doesn't even count. This is different from the problem that you were dealing with before, this is just a little fun. That voice is actually the most dangerous thing in gambling recovery, and very few people warn you about it enough, because most people assume all the danger lives in the dark moments, wrapped in stress, depression, a bad week, or the argument that leaves you needing to numb yourself. Those moments are real risks, it's true, but a good stretch of optimism can be just as dangerous, sometimes more because your guard is completely down. If you haven't met yet, I'm Phil Shea, addictions counselor. I work with men struggling with gambling and video game addiction. And what I want to talk about today is the psychology of relapse that starts in permission, not pain, because that's where it begins for a lot of men, in a place where the story they are telling themselves sounds completely reasonable. Here's the mechanism. When life is hard, you're watching yourself carefully. You know you're vulnerable. The reasons you've stopped are clear on the surface because the pain is also close at hand. But when things ease up, like when you're away somewhere, the week went well, or you feel like you've earned a break, the mental math reformulates. You stop asking what this costs you, and you start asking why you shouldn't just enjoy yourself now. Why not now? Other people do. Why not just this once? You've been doing so well. Vacation is a perfect example of this. The routine is gone. The normal anchors aren't there. Consequences feel like they belong to a different version of you, the one you left back home. You're relaxed, present, and feel like a functioning human being who deserves good things. And your brain starts selling the bet as harmless, deserved even. It's the persuasive devil on your shoulder pointing out that the context makes it so it doesn't count, selling a lie in a way that feels like honesty. And to be clear, this isn't weakness or stupidity, obviously. It's just an easy pattern to fall victim to. Relapse doesn't start at the moment you place the bet. It starts earlier, when your reasons for staying on the straight and narrow get blurry, when the things that kept you off it start to feel like they don't apply here, in this context, this particular week or weekend. It's at this moment that your why not gets louder than your why. And not to get all Kenny Loggins, but that's the real danger zone here. Permission. If that pattern is familiar, if it's not the hard days you have to watch for, but the good ones, that's exactly the kind of thing I help men work through in private sessions. Forget willpower strategies that evaporate the moment life feels easy. I aim for something more durable, something that holds firm when you're relaxed and the old voices show up sounding reasonable. The link is in the description if you want to have that conversation. Because here's what happens once you say yes to the why not. The bet opens the whole loop again. Not just one bet and then back to your life. Instead, you'll respark the habits you worked so hard to break. The checking, the second guessing, the mental energy that starts quietly rerouting away from whoever you're actually with and toward your next move. The trip you were supposed to be present for, the moment that was actually in front of you, is slipping between your fingers because now you're somewhere else. Physically there, mentally gone. And the people around you can feel it, even if they can't name it. The emotional and attentional distance, the more frequent trips to the bathroom, the lag before you start moving. It's like you're not quite there, even when you're sitting right across the room from them. And you may have had somebody in your life say this exact thing to you. That's the real cost of the why not moment. Not just the money, but the trip you didn't get to fully live. Your presence was lost. Here's what I want you to take away from this. The work of recovery isn't just about surviving the hard days. That's what people in recovery mostly talk about. Cravings, triggers, stress. But the harder work is building an answer to the why not that exists on good days too. An answer that holds when life feels okay. When you're relaxed, when you've had a good week, and you feel like you deserve something. I've heard it put before that a convincing long-term goal needs to appeal to three selves. The lower self, the higher self, and the practical or neutral self. The lower self is petty. When you're feeling down and upset with the world, it's not a place you want to live in, but it's hard not to visit from time to time. When you're inhabiting that self, you may be convinced by something like, I'm stronger than those who can't quit, or I'm not some degenerate. It needs to be just enough to convince that self to stick through it. Your higher self is what this video is speaking more to. The one that feels like everything's going your way, and that's not going to change. That's the one you need to watch out for with the why not. but also needs to focus on your values because gambling almost certainly steps away from at least one of those. Then your practical self is when you're fully in your logic and rationality. This one is pretty easy with gambling. Just remind yourself that the house always wins. Because the why not voice doesn't only come from you when you're down. Because the voice luring you back to gambling doesn't only come for you when you're down. It comes for you most when your guard is low, and the story sounds like a friend. You need a reason that works in that moment too. Not a rule, but a real understanding of what you're protecting and why it matters enough to protect it, even when everything feels fine. That's the real work. I know you can do it. I've seen people do it before. And it's worth doing before the next vacation, the next good week, and the next time that voice shows up sounding completely reasonable. If you want some help sorting this situation out, you know where to find me. And as always, I'm Phil Shea, Addictions Counselor. Have a great day.